Good evening and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news. We're broadcasting live and then we're available on demand. And we're available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple Television, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Monday, July 31st, 2023. We're live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson, and this evening we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ plus news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbian and queer women, trans, student youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS, healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 38 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader communities.
Well, let's welcome anchor FayWhat. She's a radio and television personality and is the host of the FayWhat Show, the first LGBTQ plus morning program Mondays at 9 a.m. and then on demand on all streaming and social media platforms. She's also a hostess and MC for many South Florida events. Welcome, Faye.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be back. It's scorching out there, and it's hot in here too, baby. Well, in the gay agenda, mark your calendar for Celebrity Lip Sync Battle on August 23rd. Wednesday, August 23rd, the community will be attending the Flockfest Celebrity Lip Sync Battle at Hunter's Nightclub, Wilton Manors, to help raise funds for Broward House. The event will start at 7 p.m. Broward House was founded with a mission to improve the quality of life for individuals impacted with chronic health challenges, including HIV, by providing pathways to wellness. The assisted living facility and recovery center of Broward House suffered severe damages due to the April floods. All the proceeds of this lip sync battle will be donated back to Broward House. Those who wish to help raise funds by performing at the event can do just that. The battle will be hosted by Nicole Hollowell. Tickets will be available later this week at flockfestevent.org. It's $15 in advance, $20 at the door. I won last year. They say that it was a tie, but I say that I won, all right? If you want to be part of it and raise funds for Broward House, join us. Again, flockfestevents.org.
Let's welcome anchor Jamaal L. Starks. His South Florida professional name is Porcelain. He is Vice President of Impulse Group Chapter Miami, part of a global organization that helps connect gay and queer men. He is also a spiritualist and a model. Welcome, Jamaal.
Thank you, Al, from Faye's bed back in front of the camera. In the gay agenda, free tarot readings at Rebel Wine Bar, August 25th. Visit Rebel Wine Bar in Oakland Park for a free tarot reading to get insights into your past, present, and future. The event is August 25th, starting at 7 p.m. Whether you're looking for guidance in your love life or career, or just want to know what's in store for you, this event is a must attend. Rebel Wine Bar takes pride in providing personable service and approachable wines. They partner with Arts United to feature local artists throughout the month and host live music from local talent. Find more at rebelwinebar.com.
Let's welcome anchor Bonnie Builder. Bonnie is South Florida's premier bodybuilding drag queen. A recent graduate of FIU, she comes to life with a microphone and a spotlight. Welcome, Bonnie.
Thank you so much, everyone, for having me. I love being had. Now, in the gay agenda, Spice Girls drag brunch at the Dania Improv, August 26th. Dania Improv Comedy Theater brings a special drag brunch as a tribute to the Spice Girls. This event is hosted by Flip Phone on August 26th. The brunch will start at 2 p.m. and the attendees are encouraged to wear costumes and sing along to Spice Girls and other girl group acts that will be performed. The show is open to all that are 21 and up. A general admission ticket will cost you just $18, with a VIP with reserved seating will be available at just $28. The Dania Improv is on Dania Point District's Main Street and South Florida's top comedy show venue. It's time to show up and feel some girl power. Hurry and book your tickets now. Tickets are available at daniaimprov.com.
Let's welcome Dale Stine, a celebrated photographer in the LGBTQ+ community. He is the director of music ministry at the famous Unity on the Bay and is the moderator for Miami Gay List, South Florida's largest LGBTQ+ Facebook group, which can also be seen and found on IG as @QueerListOfficial. Welcome, Dale.
Thank you so much, Al, and hello to everyone at the table. In the gay agenda, hard labor. Labor Day weekend at the Eagle, August 31st through September 4th. Eagle Wilton Manors has organized an exciting Labor Day weekend starting from August 31st to September 4th. The event, named Hard Labor, will feature guest DJs each day, including Al Reich, DJ Deanne, Danny Verde, Ralphie Rosario, Dan De Leon, and DJ Herbie. The weekend will begin with an opening harness night party at 9 p.m. The event is sponsored by Absolute. Weekend passes will start at just $69, while a la carte tickets will start just at $8. A Hard Labor VIP pass will offer you entry to all 6 events, a complimentary limited bar during the Leatherworks Dungeon Party, and a 2-hour open bar during Ed Lugo Pool Party. Don't miss the best Hard Labor Day weekend you can ever experience. Tickets can be bought on Eagle Bar Wilton Manor or eaglebarwm.com.
Well, we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, July 31st. We begin with breaking news. Pee Wee Herman, gay children's television star Paul Reubens, dies of cancer. Actor Paul Reubens, who rose to fame in the 1980s as children's TV star Pee Wee Herman, has died years after a cancer diagnosis. He was 70. Reubens' official Facebook page said, quote, "Last night we said farewell to Paul Reubens, an iconic American actor, comedian, writer, and producer whose beloved character, Pee Wee Herman, delighted generations of children and adults with his positivity, whimsy, and belief in the importance of kindness." End quote. Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse on CBS and his other programs won 15 Emmys. Reubens spent much of his childhood in Sarasota, Florida, and frequented the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, whose winter headquarters were in Sarasota. Reubens said the circus atmosphere sparked Reubens' interest in entertainment and influenced his later career. In 1986, he famously was the very first guest on The Late Show starring Joan Rivers. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Reubens had several legal entanglements with law enforcement for collections of erotica that he described included muscle magazines and a sizable collection of mostly homosexual vintage erotica. Reubens' rise to fame was halted in July of 1991 after he was arrested by an undercover police officer for masturbation at an adult movie theater in Sarasota. It made worldwide headlines and jokes. But while Pee Wee Herman was a major star for children, he had cult status among college students and 20-somethings. That was proved on September 5th, 1991, when he made his first public appearance after his arrest to secretly open the 1991 MTV Video Music Awards.
Ladies and gentlemen, MTV is proud to introduce someone who has been a friend for a long time.
Jokes lately? What was that one? Oh, so funny I forgot to laugh.
Heard any good jokes lately? That was 32 years ago. I bet much of our audience doesn't even know of that moment. Hopefully you know of Pee Wee Herman. That was 2 months after the arrest. Now let me tell you a little of the outing. We say gay television star. Some people would argue that because Paul Reubens never publicly acknowledged that he was gay. I happen to know he was. He grew up in Sarasota. He went to my high school. He performed at the Oslo Theater. I have posted today in social media, I was in that adult theater in Gulfgate neighborhood in Sarasota, so I know the theater. And he was also arrested, of which the charges were dropped for lingering a couple of years later at that theater. And the reason why Community in Sarasota would be at that theater is because in the 1980s and in the 90s, you went there when you were gay. Right. And Paul Reubens was gay. Paul Reubens secretly went to Sawmill. I know for a fact.
The resort. Okay.
He went to Sawmill. And the interaction of the circles, he was a number of years ahead of me from Sarasota High School, but he was so influenced by the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. And people do not know, it was the winter home, and all of the major circuses were based in the winter in Sarasota because of the train connections, etc. Emmett Kelly, the most famous clown in the world, his daughter I went to school with. He was noted in the Kelly family. The Willindas, if you remember the Higher Wire act that collapsed, made international news. One of the Willindas was a teacher at Sarasota Junior High School that he went to. And so he had interaction there growing up in Community, and he had quite an impact, and for whatever reason could not live his true self. And totally irrelevant to today's story, but it is a passing of something for LGBTQ community. What's really particularly interesting to me is he did Pee-wee's Playhouse starting in 1986, long before someone as in the role of a Saturday morning television star for children. He couldn't do that today. In 2023, that show could not be done and would be wholesale rejected by the state of Florida.
You said the secret word of the day, rejected. Sorry.
Thank you. Right. No, that's really.
Oh my God, so great.
Pee Wee Herman was way ahead of the curve.
I couldn't wait to watch that show every Saturday morning. It was just like what you looked forward to every single Saturday morning.
But how sad though.
But how sad too that well, we say sad that he felt like he couldn't come out because that's where we're coming from our perspective. But maybe he wasn't sad about it. You know, he was very private about his cancer battle for 6 years. So
But he wasn't private about whipping out his pee-pee at a theater?
Well,
I mean, like...
I gotta say,
No, I'm sorry. Like, how private can you... Al, don't give me that face, okay? Like,
as a fellow public masturbator, this is really hard for our community. Major loss for us. You will be dearly missed.
you know how everything old comes back again, right? So I just feel bad that he wasn't able to tap into that money now, later in life. You know, he died still being worth $5 million, which is a lot to everybody at this table, but it's not a lot when you think about all that he did, right? I mean, do they even play those shows anymore? Could you find Pee-wee's Playhouse somewhere?
On YouTube.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah,
Okay.
You can.
And I want to thank him for my childhood because that that Pee Wee Herman was a huge inspiration as to my tapping into my childhood imagination and why I tell people to heal your childhood self. All of those movies, I am literally the children that grew up under Pee Wee Herman.
How young are you?
I am young.
I don't think we were. I wasn't there when he was.
I was there.
About it.
I was there.
He went to air in 1986. Lasted until...
Sitting in front of my grandmother's rocking chair
91.
every morning, eating my cereal, waiting for...
And you know what's interesting? And thank you so much. For me, obviously, this is highly personal.
Yeah.
Sarasota and the history of what I know. And I'm just saying, I know more too.
We got that. We got that innuendo.
Okay. The one thing that I think is really wonderful about the story, and you reflect it, and you make the joke, and you give him reverence to the joke that he told in the show over and over again. In 1986, the Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, whoever that was, I don't remember now, no one thought this is inappropriate for Saturday morning television for our children. He was what he was. Today, those exact same personalities would say, this is inappropriate for our children. Moms for Liberty would be protesting CPS. It's just not possible. It's an indication that he was pre the craziness to come.
Yeah.
And that's what he represented. And the other thing, the reason why I really love that we've shown you what happened at MTV in 1991. MTV was ruling the world in 1991, and without telling anybody, he walks out to open, that was the opening of the MTV Music Video Awards. And you saw the reaction, and you saw the 20-somethings standing and starting to chant his name. He was a cult figure. One of the things that's a wonderful memory of that in this time period is I had a 20-something, I was 20-something. I was in that crowd. He was 7 years older than me. I went to a Trick's house every Saturday morning, and we watched Pee Wee Herman, and the one time I would see Trick was in conjunction with Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Saturday mornings.
On Saturday morning.
That's an interesting pornographic...
Because, yes.
So it was like Wee Wee's Playhouse. Okay.
And it was just, and it was, he had cult status for 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. He will be remembered. He was a talent. So we remember him. All right, next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Visit Lauderdale, and the South Florida Adventure Pass invites you to explore the best of Broward. Get ready to enjoy unlimited admission to this summer's Butterfly World, Flamingo Gardens, Museum of Discovery and Science, and Sawgrass Recreation Park. All of these 4 attractions will be made available to you for the price of one, so that you can enjoy summertime with your family without spending much of your hard-earned money. The South Florida Adventure Pass prices start at just $55 for adults and $45 for children. Prices will be different for existing annual pass holders or members. It gets you unlimited visits through September 30th for the next 2 months at all 4 of these participating parks. Fly into the Museum of Discovery and Science for more than 150,000 square feet of mind-blowing, boredom-busting interactive exhibits. Florida's only aviation-themed makerspace, wildlife habitats, and an outdoor science park. Museum of Discovery and Science. Visit Butterfly World, the world's largest butterfly and bird park that features open-air aviaries with a breathtaking display of 20,000 exotic butterflies and tropical birds from all around the world. At Sawgrass Recreation Park, you can discover the Florida Everglades on a thrilling 30 to 40-minute airboat adventure. At Flamingo Gardens, you can see over 3,000 tropical and subtropical species of plants and trees. It is also home to the largest collection of Florida native wildlife in the state. When you visit Lauderdale, there's something for everyone under the sun. Well, I love this series of stories that we're doing on Visit Lauderdale. We're reminded at this time of the year, August, September, the dog days of summer, you know, if we're not traveling to Europe, we're here in South Florida. Mm-hmm. So it's a real good reminder that we should be finding things to help us get through this time period. And I love this series of stories that we're doing. I didn't know this pass was available. 3 of those 4 attractions I've never been to.
Really?
I've never been to any of them.
You've never been to any of them?
Not a one of them. See, some of them I've never even heard.
See your shock and surprise. I love both observations. We just assume that we do all this.
Yeah,
Let me give you
don't.
another observation. I don't do science, outdoor, or bugs, or nails apparently. But when you go, tell me how it is. Yeah, I won't be there.
Well, guess
We're
what?
going to convince you.
You know, if you go to one of these places, right, it'll be half of that cost of that pass, and you can go to any one of them unlived for the summer or for how long, right?
So
Basically,
September 30th.
all the way to September 30th, okay? And LGBTQ folks that have their kids at home, right? They're bored. Take them out and do something. And like, I love butterflies and I love flamingos, and so do you, Dale. So I'm super surprised that you're not. And so the Butterfly World has the painted lady butterfly, has the zebra swallowtail butterfly, has the American copper butterfly. I love that one. Plus the spring azure butterfly. That is beautiful. And if you're into flamingos, guess what? They have all the different flamingos. They have the American, the lesser, the greater, the Andean flamingo. That is beautiful. Okay, you've got to go see it. Take pictures for your Insta.
And it's a really smart marketing tool they're doing because it is hot. I mean, everybody knows it's hot everywhere and super hot down here. So I'm sure they're needing to get some more people in. And this is a really smart maneuver to tie it all in and encourage people that might not otherwise go.
We're 20 minutes from all of these butterflies and flamingos. Museum of Discovery and Science is 5 minutes from this studio. It's just shocking that you haven't been to any of them, and I haven't been to 3 of the 4 of them.
Well,
how about you?
I've been to Butterfly World. I've been to Museum of Discovery and Science. I've been to. I grew up here. I'm a true 305.
Hey now.
Hey.
All right, cousin.
I grew up.
Okay.
I was born at Jackson Memorial Hospital. Girl.
We the city girls. Okay.
Yeah,
City girl.
I know all about.
Well, I know what I'm going to be doing between now and September 30th because I got to get out and do more stuff here.
You do. You do. You've lived here for how long now? You've got to. This ain't Sarasota no more, Al.
I could walk you
There's
through.
more than the theater. There's more than that theater.
Right. Through Paris. You know, I could tour you through Paris.
With your eyes closed.
But not
You
Fort
could,
Lauderdale.
but not Fort Lauderdale.
Everybody at Visit Lauderdale right now is going,
Right?
Okay. All right, Jamaal.
Next, let's queer up politics. Maine House Speaker blasts liberal white women for focusing on LGBTQ+ issues and ignoring racial problems. In her most recent public speaking opportunity since she told her supporters to storm the Capitol on Juneteenth, Maine House Speaker Rachel Talbot Ross blasted liberal Democrat white women for prioritizing niche LGBTQ+ issues over her preferred race-related issues. In racially charged remarks at Bates College in Lewiston on Thursday, Talbot Ross complained that Maine Democrats and the media demonized her for fighting for racial justice and used racial minorities as talking points to advance a white liberal agenda. Speaker Talbot Ross said she appreciates that the state legislature made extraordinary advances in LGBTQ plus rights, but she does not see how it shows up for racial justice. She said, quote, "You cannot say it's intersectional if really what you mean is that LGBTQ rights is a proxy for white LGBTQ," end quote. Ross's comments came at the Maine Department of Health and Human Services Office of Population Health Equity's first annual Health Equity Conference. Talbot Ross mostly played it safe. But her spicier points came during the question and answer period afterward, when the visibly emotional Portland native delivered a racially charged rant about the failure of liberal white women in the Democratic Party to support her agenda. All right, so some people may not like what I have to say.
Ooh, then say it.
Go for it.
But I totally, coming from wearing black and brown skin first, totally understand her point here. I totally get her point here, that there is an intersectionality, and sometimes even with the LGBTQ plus agenda or movement, sometimes, a lot of the times, black and brown folks fall at the back. And her attacking liberal white women, I mean, Martin Luther King said it in his letters to Birmingham, honey. Sometimes the people that are against racial progression is the liberal white person.
Bonnie, I'm curious. I heard loud and clear. Do you agree with that?
Well, a white woman got on my nerves today, so yes, I do agree.
Was her name Karen?
Well, right.
Karen, Mabel, Gertrude, I don't know.
You're not
I don't
alone
care
at the
what it
table.
was.
You're not alone at the table in that annoyance.
Yeah, she's no longer with us. So, I'm kidding. I don't give a damn where she is.
Is that what you needed the shovel for, Bonnie? You could have told me.
Well, so, fuck her. So anyway, I do agree begrudgingly because like this lady sort of sucks, but she's making points. But I think she's making the point not because she truly means it, but because she has an agenda that she's trying to push, and it's anti-queer, but it's pro-race. But does she really mean it? I don't know. I don't know how to feel, but she's right. But also, like, she can suck a dick. I don't know how to feel about it, but she's making valid points. We are put in the back of a lot of queer issues. When it's brought to the media, the face is usually a white person or a lighter complexion person. And when we're brought to the forefront, it becomes a race issue, not a queer issue, but we are also queer. But we're black first. I don't know how to feel about it. There's a lot going on.
I know everyone's going to continue in on making observation here, but please allow me to refine this a little bit. First, I want to talk about black community on LGBT. This is a straight black woman observing on LGBT. One of the things that I have learned, I've tried to be better in my understanding on race issues, both inside LGBT and outside LGBT. One of the things that I have been educated on a lot is how poorly the black community itself is on LGBT. And black church, and how especially black males have been treated in community. Isn't this, don't I hear a bit, and because that's what I just heard a little bit from you, that this is an issue of black community on pounding on LGBT?
Yeah, black people don't want to be demonized, but then they demonize the queer people, and as both, like, where do we fall in that?
Okay, I'm asking, where is it?
And also, the issues that black queer people or black LGBTQ plus people really face are racial issues. Usually they are tied hand in hand. So it's very hard to get behind certain movements and certain agendas when it's like, girl, we've been sitting over here talking about housing for a minute. Girl, we've been sitting over here talking about healthcare for a minute. And this is a Black issue because of the huge socioeconomic and racial disparities that exist within America. So it's very difficult to separate ourselves completely from being Black and to align, because yes, the Black community has its own things, that, you know, its own homophobia, but also, we're still thrown at the back of the bus when it comes down to LGBTQ plus issues. I just was at a conference where, did you know that most of the transgender data does not include Black trans people at all? Most of the data
the
out
national
there,
data that's out there.
most of the data that they spit and spew do not include Black trans people in the data.
I put it out there in terms of Black community and how they treat LGBT. It's a micro focus. What do you think about when I call Maine House Speaker Talbot Ross out and say, wait, focus on the Black community and how you're treating LGBT before you focus on Democratic white women on LGBT. Focus on your own house first. What do y'all think about that? I'm saying that.
And it's out there now, you said it. But
what do you think?
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree on it, because a lot of the white women can be part of the racial issue, so it might be hard to remove them from that. I'm talking about somebody like Talbot Ross in the Black community, how the Black community treats their LGBTQ. I'm gonna be frank. Actually, I'm gonna be Bonnie. So having a non-Black person tell a Black person deal with the Black community doesn't always come off smoothly, because we are in these Black households, and we hear the rhetoric, we hear our mothers and grandmothers, aunts. My own grandmother didn't come to my wedding because I was marrying a man. So like, these things are already in the forefront and we're already dealing with it. I do think that Talbot Ross is using this as an agenda point to like further her whatever the fuck she got going on. But like in our household, it's something that we're already dealing with. So no disrespect to you, and no, it's no disrespect to me. But like, it's just, it doesn't come off smoothly to hear that from a non-Black person.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And you agree with that?
Same. Yeah. Totally.
All right.
Totally
so who in the Black community is going to say it?
I think there's a lot of us in the Black community saying it. I mean, me, myself. Hi.
And for a while.
And for a while, there's enough. There's enough of us speaking up for accountability within the Black community, but also as we are LGBTQ plus, as we do sit under that umbrella, where are we at the table as well? Seriously, we are left out of a lot. We're an afterthought. We are a complete afterthought. It's not until you've seen things like Pose and Legendary, and we've actually had light shined on us. It's like, oh, that's what goes on with Black LGBTQ folks. Then it's like, oh, we can pour our resources, but I always see it as...
And then they forget. After that's over, they forget. Like BLM.
Is that a criticism inside the community, LGBT community, or outside?
That's inside as well. Yeah, that's a very inside criticism, because it's like, oh, we see the value now.
Yeah, our moms, our parents are like, oh, I was watching Pose and now I see what the Black gays are going through. It's like, you had a Black gay in your house the whole time.
You had what I was going through. First womb experience.
Exactly.
Listen, my mother-in-law is a Trumper, and during BLM, she was like, wow, the United States really treated Black people wrong. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh my God, lady.
So, speaking as you know, a full-on white cisgender person, yeah, right? What's the term? What am I?
Got it.
What am I?
We know.
We need to do. I have words for you, but I'm not going to say it. But we've been saying this for a long time. Also, we need to do better. We need to do better. We need to do better. And I think that also there's a perception, a misperception, as people of color, Black and brown people get into higher leadership positions in big organizations. For example, Kiara at Task Force, and other people, many. The misperception is that, oh, we're doing better with Black and brown people because look, these people are leading, and that's not the case. Because the people that I believe you're talking about getting shoved to the back are not people in positions of power. No. And these are the people, if we're not, and you know, as the Dr. Martin Luther King said, or was it someone else who said it? If we're not taking care of the most disenfranchised, we're not taking care of everybody, of anybody. Yeah. So we all have to do better. And
can I add another potentially offensive question?
Please, I would love it.
She gets to the cradle, can't be dismissed. She gets to the cradle that she goes, LGBT rights, I'm paraphrasing for her, are okay, but if you get to, and then I'm not paraphrasing, these are exact words, the proxy for white LGBTQ plus. Now, what she is saying is LGBTQ rights are fine as long as it's just not a proxy universally accepting LGBTQ rights. Who is empowered to say to any group in America as they focus on LGBTQ rights what is right or wrong? She's doing exactly what she's saying we shouldn't do. Mm-hmm. Or am I getting that wrong?
No, you're not. No, not at all.
Well, she's
trying to get it on every, so she's trying to have her cake and eat it too. I mean, because she's just really coming at it from every angle you can. It's just like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, as it were. Yeah. But I mean, I disagree. I mean, I disagree with some of her, but I really agree with a lot of what she says. I can see it. That I mean, I see it how it plays out.
Yeah.
She uses the word, intersectionality. She throws that word in. She's smart in using buzzwords that capture a certain ear.
Mm-hmm. It's not offensive to you as the ear where the main speaker is saying, as opposed to calling out white Democratic women on their positions of race, she calls out white Democratic women on their positions of LGBT as opposed to focusing on race. That's not offensive to you?
I think because through her lens, she sees where, oh girl, you're protecting your child, your gay son, because they, okay, being frank, being Jamaal. She's literally saying, can you see what y'all are doing? You're putting your whiteness first, as always. It doesn't matter what section it comes into, LGBTQ, immigration, it doesn't matter.
Women, doesn't matter.
You push, just like feminism has been overtaken by white women, and black women are like, have fleed to another place called womanism, because they don't align with feminism. So the same with LGBTQ, a lot of black queer people are running away from LGBTQ. They can't stand the term. They can't stand the alphabet because they're like, where do I fit in? Because we haven't fit in for so long with the major issues that affect us in our socioeconomic status and our background, in our blackness, because it is still essential to who we are as well. So I get her lens. She's basically saying, they just doing this because white folks is in there. If it was LGBTQ and it was all black folks, they wouldn't, she's saying they wouldn't say a word. They wouldn't move a flinch.
And to that point, I got to sort of call out Queer News Tonight. There's a major controversy going on in entertainment with T.S. Madison, who we're all familiar with. She is currently battling with a very prominent heterosexual black woman comedian, Just Hilarious, who says some very disparaging comments about the trans community, and it's getting a lot of traction, but it's not at this table. And maybe if we had more black people all up and through here, maybe that would have hit the screen. But we just got to like check our privileges and biases when it comes to that, stuff like that.
Unconscious bias.
Exactly. Because I figured that would be one of the headlines, but like it's getting up there. Like
you should have sent it in then, Mama.
I don't know how to work the computer. Girl, I was busy brushing this wig.
I know that took a long time. Next time you send it to me, I'll make sure I get it.
There are 2 units in this. Go ahead.
All right, let's move on.
The white presenting girl, and she'll get it in for you. Send it to the white presenting girl, and she'll get it in for you.
We've got so much work still to do.
Yes, we do.
And when we're having this conversation, I don't understand why everyone is not in riotous, up in arms rage about who is running for president of the United States, how the state of Florida is being run. I don't understand because we got so far to go, and we're focusing on
I do love the production team. I do love everyone here. I just want to throw that out there. I do love you guys so very much.
She's not on the schedule anymore.
Y'all will never see me. You'll never see me again.
We love you, Bonnie. We love you. All right, next up, let's queer up education. Safe Schools Rainbow Roundtable brings LGBTQ plus resources and students together. Safe Schools Rainbow Roundtable is a groundbreaking year-long educational series dedicated to creating safer, more inclusive spaces in our schools. This unique programming collaboration between Safe Schools and Happening Out Television Network is designed to engage students, teachers, and the broader school community in vital conversations about contemporary issues. With the Rainbow Roundtable, they are not only raising awareness, but also encouraging proactive steps towards acceptance, understanding, and change in our educational institutions. This 12-part series will cover the following topics: misinformation and media literacy, LGBTQ plus rights and legislation, artificial intelligence and ethics, African American studies and diversity, mental health and well-being, and community engagement and activism. Safe Schools also runs a TV original program called The Tea with Eddie, where host Eddie and their fabulous guests tackle politics, pop culture, and everything in between, all from a uniquely queer perspective. Eddie dives into the heart of the Florida AIDS Walk, discussing its impact on the LGBTQ plus community and the importance of sexual health education. The recent The Tea with Eddie episodes talks about stopping fake news and the impact on our society. Eddie is joined by Tiffany. You know Tiffany. Tiffany from Tiffany Explains It All. You can follow the show on Safe Schools South Florida's YouTube channel. You know, exactly like we were talking about last topic, you know, education, education, education. We've got to educate everyone to start, you know, you'd be surprised, like my mom being, my mother-in-law being surprised about how black people were treated. You know, like just, you know, you never know what people know. You just never know. And with how our schools have been attacked, our teachers have been attacked, our LGBTQ plus students that can't be their true authentic selves, don't say gay and all this craziness. Something like this that Safe Schools South Florida and Happening Out Television Network is doing so important and needs to happen often and everywhere, and everyone needs to attend.
Because black people benefited from slavery, right? Because they benefited from slavery.
Something from them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've never thought that growing up having Reading Rainbow, since we're going back to like my childhood with Pee Wee Herman just passing. I've never thought that, you know, growing up with Reading Rainbow, having Hooked on Phonics, having all of these educational programs that were thrown at us, Barney and the Big Comfy Couch, that we've gotten to a place where reading is bad. Where most of the information that would educate us and keep us all on the same page, on the same frequency, is now going away, and it's being attacked. It's just, and it's funny. It's also funny how Moms for Liberty, very conservative white women who
Southern Poverty calls it terrorist group.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But also, where are the liberal white women in this fight? Where are they when you see Moms for Liberty on the street corner like we saw them in Fort Lauderdale Beach? Or where are the liberal white women who are pushing
not just liberal white women, liberal period. I mean, yeah.
Where are they?
But this is important work that's at least being done, even if it's on a small scale, because it's, like you say, education itself is being attacked. Like being smart, being informed of truth and history and things that are really, really happening is suddenly like being cursed.
Listen, like banning all the books, okay? Like, what's the next book that you're going to allow in the library? How to Storm the Capitol in 4 Simple Steps? I mean, like, seriously. But it's the truth.
You might have just given somebody.
You might just be giving somebody an idea.
Right.
And you're not going to get no royalties at all.
No, at all.
You know, I just want to say, as one of the two privileged cis white men at the table, even when you want to do the right thing, it's hard to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. I just point out what this brings out, our general conversations that we're having. I'm proud that we have the commitment to the mission statement we have. Now, the mission statement of the network is to say that we have an obligation to elevate Black LGBT story. queer women and lesbian, trans, Latino students, which this story does. And the reason we do it, to be honest with you, is we sat down and said, and I've made this joke, and it's not a joke, 100 times. On Wilton Drive, I'm okay. I'll be completely okay. No problem. DeSantis or Donald Trump, no problem. But that's not enough. And if we don't make the commitment to say we've got to hold this up and this up and this up and this up, talk about it, illustrate it, generate the story, and have conversation, we're leaving people behind. And one of the things that I applaud Safe Schools of doing is they're stronger today than they were a year and a half ago before Don't Say Gay started. Yeah. And they are stronger today at Safe Schools. Scott Galvin, Harold as their operational director, they're stronger today to have programs like what we have just heard and helping to propel, because Ron DeSantis called them out and said, we are going to destroy you as a class of people in Florida, just like trans, just like black people. Slavery is good for you. And if we sit by and accept that, we have no hope. Right. And so therefore we all have to have rage now at what we're watching. And this is an example of why we have rage of what's happening to our young queer people and how we're not going to let it sail quietly into the night. We're just not.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. As I sit here dressed like a Black Panther. Burning up.
All right, we're up for you, Bonnie.
All right, next, let's queer up courts. Speaking of books, federal judge blocks law that would charge librarians for violating book bans. Arkansas is temporarily blocked from enforcing a law that would have allowed criminal charges against librarians and booksellers for providing harmful materials to minors. U.S. District Judge Timothy L. Brooks issued a preliminary injunction against the law, which also would have created a new process to challenge library materials and request that they be relocated to areas not accessible by kids. The measure, signed by Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders earlier this year, was set to take effect August 1st. A coalition that included the Central Arkansas Library System in Little Rock had challenged the law, saying fear of prosecution under the measure could prompt libraries and booksellers to no longer carry titles that could be challenged. The judge also rejected a motion by the defendants, which included prosecuting attorneys for the state seeking to dismiss the case. The ACLU of Arkansas, which represents some of the plaintiffs, applauded the court's ruling, saying that the absence of a preliminary injunction would have jeopardized First Amendment rights. The lawsuit comes as lawmakers in an increasing number of conservative states are pushing for measures making it easier to ban or restrict access to books. They want to get read, honey. They want to get read. Thank you, federal judge, for blocking that very dumb law. It's common sense, but I have to applaud you for common sense nowadays. Thank you.
Common sense is not common anymore, Bonnie. You know that, right? And that poor little old lady librarian that can hardly walk with her making, $30,000 a year, and you're trying to mess with her and put her in prison for not putting away a book that makes you feel uncomfortable. Are you freaking kidding me? Yes, good job for that judge to do that. But I mean, now that poor judge can sleep at night, because how the hell can you allow that to go on? I mean, she's doing her job and you guys are idiots.
Yeah. There's a lot of idiots in Arkansas.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of idiots in Florida too.
I mean, their governor, first of all.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, but these rulings, as it were, are little streaks of light in what is becoming a very, very dark time. I mean, it seems like you said, it seems like common sense, but it's so rare.
Are we reliving the 12, 13, and 1400s all over again? Do we have those spirits coming back and infecting these people and just...
Jamaal, it seems to me the answer is yes.
What?
And the answer is yes, because very smart, white, older men sat in an old, smoky room to decide how they were going to take over America. And they've created a plan that so far in the last number of years has been a success. And unless a voting public, turns out, unless a motivated LGBTQ community and a black community and a religious diversity community and women turn out and say enough is enough, the smoky back room of privileged white older men has won the day for a while. And these laws, exactly what happened here, will continue to be challenged, and it will trickle up to the Supreme Court. And even in the 6-3 majority of the Supreme Court, it is very hard to imagine that laws that don't protect the librarian and protect the book and protect the speech access and will not be able to define how the minor is harmed by reading. It's hard to imagine currently that even in the world we live in, the Supreme Court will not say this can't happen. But if we want those judges to be appointed and we want the process to happen, where are the black people? Where are the LGBT people? Where are the women? Et cetera and so on. There is strength in the majority of the minority of America. And privileged white women, progressive women, will come along as long as we ring the bells to say this is in your interest to support.
Well, next let's clear up education. North Carolina school board member censured after sharing anti-LGBTQ+ image. The Mount Airy Board of Education held a special meeting on July 10th to censure board member Randy Moore, a U.S. Army veteran who was appointed to the board in January of 2021. Moore had posted a Facebook image of a figure in red, white, and blue colors, kicking the midsection of another rainbow-colored figure symbolizing the LGBTQ+ community. He defended posting the image, saying he had free speech rights to oppose woke cultural issues. Moore told the publication that he loves the LGBTQ+ community, but not their doings, meaning homosexual behavior, a variation of the classic Christian cliche to, quote, love the sinner, hate the sin, end quote. The cliche isn't contained in the Bible, and a 2018 study found that Christians who endorsed the cliche had stronger anti-LGBTQ+ attitudes than others. School board members in several southern states have become more vocally opposed to racial and LGBTQ+ inclusions in schools since the 2021 election campaign of Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, who is a Republican. Youngkin's campaign highlighted parents' rights for opposing so-called woke anti-racist education in schools. Concurrently, parents in the state's Loudoun County School District shut down board meetings through angry mass protests against transgender inclusive school policies. Moore is one of several Christians who've expressed interest in reclaiming the rainbow from the LGBTQ+ community. Well, let me just say, to my home state, that's my home state.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. He's not too happy.
We're real proud.
Yeah.
Real proud.
Yeah. Well, there is Asheville, at least. Anyway, there are places. But you ain't getting that rainbow back. I'm just saying, you ain't getting it back.
No, not.
No, this is just, it's just such ignorance on parade. And that's what makes me angry, in addition to other things, is how ignorance is prevailing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, it drives me crazy.
It's amazing how many people love us and how they show their love for the LGBT community. It just is the love. And that is the way that you show that you love us.
Who the hell taught this Christian guy how to love? Because that is like some really effed up love.
Under the guise of Christianity.
If those two stick figures were the American flag and a woman, okay, people would be super upset and pissed off. You can't do that, okay? You basically are saying that I love LGBTQ, but I'll beat your ass if you're LGBTQ. That's basically what I got from that post, and you're on a school board. You're elected, right? Like, what in the living F? You shouldn't be allowed, and it should be in some of your bylaws or something that social media is a part of who you are, and you can't put things like that on social media.
How do you think you're going to get into your Christian heaven acting like this? What are your rules? Where do you draw the line in the sand? Like, I'm going to get into heaven, but I'm going to fuck with this group real quick. Like, you're not getting into the pearly gates.
Yeah.
Neither am I, because cross-dressing, but like, we've going to hell together, sir.
I always repeatedly apply the standard of other groups to the attack that he does on LGBT. We've seen this before. in the 1940s, and especially in the 1930s. We saw it in socialist Nazi Germany. And they would editorialize in cartoons. It was their social media. You would have an editorial page, and there would be cartoons that were driven, and it was white nationalism, Nazism, against the Jewish community. And they would show images like that. And it is designed to tell you one is good, one is bad.
Yep.
Ultimately, in those images in the 1930s, it was to tell you one will live and one will die.
Which is very powerful imagery. I'm also waiting to see what conservative can actually explain the definition of woke.
And
accurately, in an accurate fashion, to really understand that, number one, woke was something that Black people used during slavery in order to tell each other, girls, stay aware. Stay aware of what's going on around you. Stay woke. Stay attuned and alert and conscious. And now we have to stay conscious about what's stupid and what's ignorant in this time.
And to that point, so we saw it in the 30s and into the 40s. We see it in the 50s and the 1960s in white supremacists cartooning major newspapers all across the South that describe white nationalism against the Black community in terms of integration of the schools, in terms of integration of society, and especially against defending segregation and the growing movement of Dr. Martin Luther King. And you saw horrible, stereotypical attack on the Black community all over the South, because again, they were telling you a message of white is right, Black is wrong. White should be in charge, Black should be subservient. And this was almost 100 post years to a civil war. And ultimately, even to the fact of white can live and Black can be lynched. That's what we saw here. And I wonder if the military representative on that school board realized, wait, you're following what Nazi Germany did in the 1930s and people like Governor Wallace did in the 1950s and 60s. Because if you were doing that to make a joke that we love the LGBTQ community, but we hate the sin of the community, it's really a horrific representation. It's not funny in any stretch of the imagination.
That's right. Go to hell.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church right here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Well, we finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Country star Tylee Childers releases music video about gay love in rural America. A new video by country music singer Tyler Childers tells a tragic gay love story, and country fans say it's breaking their heart and making grown men cry. The video for In Your Love shows two coal miners working in Appalachia who quickly fall in love and buy a farmhouse together. They are played by Arrow star Colton Haynes and U star James Scully. They support each other through homophobic attacks they encounter on the job and in their rural town. But the story turns tragic when one of them falls ill, presumably from working conditions in the coal mines. Childers, who is married to fellow singer Sonora May, choosing this subject matter for this video takes on significant meaning in the current climate when country music as a genre is at a crossroads in terms of redefining its identity and deciding how inclusive it wants to be.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Thousands show up to Kyiv Pride March hosted by Liverpool due to war in Ukraine. Crowds of people marched in Liverpool this weekend as the city hosted Pride on behalf of Ukraine. Liverpool City Region Pride Foundation pledged to host Kyiv Pride after Ukraine banned the staging of marches following the Russian invasion. After the city hosted Eurovision on behalf of Ukraine, organizers saw it as an opportunity to continue the legacy. Hundreds of LGBTQ plus Ukrainians marched alongside people celebrating Liverpool's annual Pride event. Ukrainians and their allies wave Ukrainian flags, pride flags, and pictures of LGBTQ plus soldiers who are on the front line back home. Founder member of the Liverpool City Region Pride Foundation, Lenny Emson, said, quote, the Russian invasion took our right to march away from us, but international solidarity gives us a chance to keep marching, end quote.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Save the date for the 2023 Miami Book Fair. Miami-Dade College's 40th Miami Book Fair, the largest in America, will take place November 12th to 19th, 2023 in downtown Miami. In advance of this milestone anniversary, the Miami Book Fair unveiled its official poster created by Miami-based Peruvian artist and graphic designer Jose Chocha. This year's Miami Book Fair will feature some of the world's top authors, influencers, and celebrities, including evenings with headliners Kerry Washington, Joan Baez, David Brooks, Walter Mosley, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Henry Winkler, among others. Hundreds of authors will present in person in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. Other events like Read Caribbean, Reading East, Ibero-American program will also be held, along with Children's Alley, Street Fair, and more. There will also be a special LGBTQ plus program with over a dozen authors represented. Further information can be found on miamibookfair.com.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up business. Florida judge refuses to throw out case against Disney by DeSantis. A Florida judge on Friday rejected a Walt Disney Company request to dismiss a lawsuit by an oversight district, a move that could make it harder for the entertainment giant to pursue its own case against Governor Ron DeSantis, as part of a year-long feud. The ruling allows the oversight district to pursue its case that seeks to void backroom deals favorable to Disney that were struck with a prior district board earlier this year. If those deals were voided, the district has said it would nearly wipe out Disney's federal case against DeSantis. The skirmish began last year after Disney criticized a Florida law banning classroom discussion of sexuality and gender identity with younger children.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up politics. Mike Pence says he will ban transgender military service again. White House hopeful Mike Pence has said he wants to ban trans people from serving in the U.S. military, as was the policy when he was Donald Trump's vice president. Pence, who launched his presidential bid by denouncing life-saving health care for trans youth, spoke to reporters in Nevada on Saturday. He said that admitting people into the military who would require gender-affirming treatment or surgery, quote, makes no sense, end quote. Soon after taking office in January of 2021, President Joe Biden used an executive order to lift Trump's ban, with the Pentagon issuing revised guidelines in March. They went into effect 1 month later. Well, that is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
Well, I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including FayWhat, Jamaal Starks, Bonnie Builder, and Dale Stine. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you
Good night.
Buenas noches.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.